Hard mode Nefra. Okay, this fight is a little bit different from story mode, but it's not that difficult. There is basically 3 changes that you need to be aware of. Change number 1, the tanks will not have a green circle beneath them when they are in range of each other to share the damage coming from Nefra. So the tanks need to be sure that they are stood as close to each other as possible so that they can share the damage coming from Nefra. If they don't share the damage by not standing close enough to each other, then one of the tanks will surely die. The second change is going to be the droid that spawns during the fight. This droid will likely target the person with the highest aggro, but it can seem more random at times. You will no longer be able to survive the droid's explosion. In story mode you were able to survive the explosion. In hard mode this isn't the case, and you will surely die if you do not move out of it. The third change is going to be the debuff that you get during the fight. This debuff was there in story mode, but didn't really matter as it did not do that much damage. In hard mode this is entirely different. In hard mode it's going to do quite a lot of damage and your healers are going to need to cleanse the DPS in their tanks. Notice that in hard mode operations it is usually easier to have a sort of voice communication such as mumble or teamspeak or even raid call. Okay, so to start off with, you're going to want to make sure that both of your tanks know where they're going to be stood while tanking Nefra. You also need to make sure that they both know where they're going to be running to in case of a droid heading towards them. So make sure they pick one location to start the fight in and another location to move to be safe from the droid. They can revert back to the original position if another droid comes towards them. And so long as the tanks are stood as close to each other as possible, there are no further things that they need to know about the fight. No tank swap is required. The best place for the DPS and the healers to stand is going to be behind the boss, grouped up preferably. Not everybody does this, but it's best to do so. For the droid that spawns during the fight, you can assign a DPS to the droid, so when it spawns the DPS will attack the droid or take the threat of the droid and kite it away from the group until it explodes. The droid will need to get close enough to you so it can explode. Make sure you run out of the red AoE. Okay, the debuff that you're going to get during the fight I will now show you on screen. This is the debuff that your healers need to be incredibly aware of. The best thing to do is to make sure that your healers know who they are cleansing. It's usually best to do this by group. Since you have 8 people in the group, assign one healer to cleanse 4 people and the other healer to cleanse the other 4 people. Working on a priority system, making sure to cleanse the tanks first, because if one tank dies, then the rest of the raid will soon follow if a combat res is not performed very quickly. Any DPS that have the ability to cleanse themselves should do so to make this a lot easier for the healers. The debuff does tick very hard, so make sure that you cleanse it as soon as possible, and that will be everything that you need to know. Okay, good luck with your hard mode Nefra fight, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.